All right. So you're thinking about moving to the Dominican Republic or staying for longer than, I guess I should say, an extended amount of time. So, a couple of things that you're going to want to think about and kind of have in mind. And this is for anybody who's thinking of coming here for, I would say, 3 months and more. So, the first topic, matter of fact, no, I'm going to tell you a list of things that you may want to have on hand. So we've got candles, food, generator, food, a generator, clothing. I'm gonna start over. All right, so you're thinking about coming to the Dominican Republic for an extended amount of time. And for me, an extended amount of time would be, I would say, 3 months to a year plus. So, first topic. One of the things that I didn't think about when we just went through this Hurricane Franklin, it has been an absolute mess. But luckily, we were on the second floor, so we did not get flooded out or anything, and the people below us also didn't get flooded out, thank God. Um, so one of the things that I thought about after the fact is that we didn't have any candles. It was not so bad that we didn't have candles, only because of the fact that the apartment that we rented does have a generator. And here they call that an inversor. So when you're talking to people about, on Airbnb or Booking.com or Facebook Marketplace, that is something that you absolutely are going to want to ask about, because I work from home and I would not have been able to do my job successfully had my fiance not asked for a generator, or had me to really make sure that was a question that I was asking the gentleman that we rented from. So that is one of the things, like I said, that I thought about after the fact. But even outside of candles, another really good idea would be to have LED lights. I'm talking about the ones that you can get from the dollar store that you use batteries with. You just flip it on and off. That is great for if you don't have a generator, and even if you do have a generator, it's just really good to have that extra light so that you're not using up the electricity all throughout the day, and especially when you're going to need it for when the se fue la luces, because that's always going to happen. I think every day, maybe about 4 times a day, se fue la luz. Every day. So I'm really grateful that we do have the generator. Another item that you want to think about is your clothing. I would not suggest bringing a whole lot of clothes, because wherever you're going to stay, you don't know if you're going to have, well, you do know if you're going to have a washer and dryer, but most of the places that I've stayed in here, they didn't have a dryer. So although it might have had a washer or didn't, I learned my first and second trip, don't bring something that takes a long time to dry, because you're either going to have to leave it outside and have it dry in the sun, or leave it in the house and have it to air dry. The apartment. There are so many questions that you need to ask before you agree to an apartment. When you rent something through Marketplace, more than likely they're going to ask you for the first month's deposit. I think they call it a garantía. And that's the first month's rent. So let's say it's 400 US. You're going to pay them 800 US. And then when you leave, they're supposed to give you that 400 back, as long as you didn't tear anything up. You have the, oh yeah. So with the apartments, depending on what time of year that you're here, if you're here in hurricane season, which I did not realize that I was until this week, you want to rent a place that is at least on the second floor and higher, just in case, because of the flooding. And I mean, I guess that's a whole nother video, a whole nother topic as far as that is concerned. You also want to think about what you're comfortable with. Um, for me, I really hate taking cold baths or cold showers. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And a lot of times, us women, we like warm water. And, guys say, like, it's like it burns them. It's so hot. But, women, we like warmer water when we take our showers. And so I've been having to boil my water in a big bowl, and a big pot actually, and then I have a little pot. Either I'll have a little pot beside of it, or I'll have a little plastic bowl that I put my washcloth in. And that's another thing. Most places here don't have washcloths. Uh, they just have towels. So for those of you, more so women than anyone else, that like to use a washcloth, you're going to either have to buy some when you get here, and they're not expensive. They're like $2-3 for like a pack. Or you're going to bring some. And I brought mine from home because I already knew the last time I was here, I had to buy some, and they were like paper thin. And I was like, this is not going to work for me. But yeah, so I use both. I use a washcloth and I use the poofy. And so I have the two bowls, and I fill the smaller one up with water, dip that puffy in there, and I also dip my washcloth in there and mix it around, get some soap on there, and then pour some more water in there when I want to rinse it off. And then I slowly continue to take water out of the pot and pour that water on me to rinse all the soap off constantly. And a lot of the places, they'll tell you that they have hot water, and it's either that they in fact do, actually it's probably three things. They do in fact do have it. That's one. Or number two, they have warm water, and for them, in their mind, they feel like, oh yeah, this is hot water, that's what they asked me for. Or three, they have it, and it may be somewhere in the middle, but there's a little button that you have to click and leave it on for maybe 15 minutes before you get into the shower. So that's another one of those weird caveats that you would have to get used to. Transportation. InDrive is really the most popular here that I've been seeing lately. And the one thing that I do like about it is the fact that you can negotiate how much you're going to pay for your ride. You can negotiate with the rider or the driver. So what happens is you open up the app, you look to see who's available, and well, actually, before you even do that, you put the price that you want to pay. So let's say you put 400 pesos. You may get some offers for 380 pesos, 350. But on the other side of that, you can get, depending on where you are, and good and well, like, it's not going to be that cheap. You'll get people that will send you, like a 600 peso, 800 peso, depending on where you are. And it depends on the time of day and the time of night. The later it gets, the least amount of rides you're going to see. So we're talking, 12, 1, 2, 3 in the morning, as well as 5, 6, 7 in the morning. I've never even used Uber here just because I didn't think to do it. But from what I've seen on YouTube videos, when people use them, it's they will still ask you to pay them cash. They I don't know if any of them actually have their cards or their bank information hooked up to it. I don't know. I would have to research that. Also, I guess I should say next would be your luggage. So depending on the time frame that you're going to be here, you're going to want to make sure that you pack enough clothing, but also not too much clothing. I'm here for 3 months this time, and I brought with me a big luggage that was like 44 pounds. No, it wasn't even 44. I think it was like 30. Oh yeah, it was 44. I flew Frontier this time, and they charge you when it's over 40 pounds, but this lady, I guess, she just was being sweet to me that day and was like, don't worry about it. And I was like, oh, thank God. But anyway, so a big luggage, and then I had my carry-on luggage, and lastly, a backpack. So I paid for that all on that the package with, I think it's called the Perks package with Frontier. And honestly, I will probably never fly Frontier again. It was entirely too much work, and actually I'm going to do a whole nother video on that to go more in detail. For some people it's worth it, for some people it's not. For me, I didn't feel like it was worth it. So just my opinion. So yeah. Second, the what is it called? The transfer, the conversion. Dominican Republic used to be a lot cheaper to come here and like live and visit and do things. That is no longer the case. They are now trying to charge sometimes the same prices that we would pay in the U.S. for certain things. I actually talked to somebody today that wanted $1,700 for an apartment, and that's the same amount that I would pay in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I'm like, that's asinine. When we actually met with another guy or spoke with another guy who has an apartment who is actually just as beautiful and has a pool and allows dogs and children. So I was a bit confused by that. And but anyway, so next up, oh yeah, that's what I was saying about the money. You really want to think about how much food that you're going to be eating and how often you're going to be buying it and how close you are to the grocery store. I feel like since I've been here now, exactly, it'll be a month coming up in about 4 days. I feel like I've spent probably $70 or $80 a week on food. And that wasn't us eating out. That was actually us, going to the grocery store. And we cook. Sometimes he cooks in the morning, sometimes I do. Either way, we always cook our food. But yeah, I mean, if you're willing to eat cheap, then you'll be okay. Like if you want to do the eggs, rice and beans, and like just keeping it, bread, milk, like simple things, you can cheap buy for sure with that. But we like to eat good, and we enjoy cooking different types of meals every week. So it just, yeah, I just feel like as a part of life, we should always eat well if we can, because that is one of the things that we actually have control over, how delicious our food can be if we're cooking it right. So yeah, next up, alcohol. I'm telling you what, man, I honestly, it's so surprising to me, because I feel like back in the day maybe it was cheaper than what it is now. But I buy like I don't even know what size it's called, but it's not the smallest, which is I think like the pint, but it's the middle one between a pint and like a half gallon, I guess it's in between that. And the one that I get is 495 pesos. And that is broken down to about $10. And I find me having to replace it every like 4 days, sometimes every 2 days. It just depends on if we're drinking with friends or how much he and I are drinking. So I brought a bottle from home because I knew it was much cheaper. It was like $15 for a half gallon. And because I flew Frontier, I could only bring one of them with me and not two. And last time I was here, I brought two. And that lasted like the whole trip almost. So you want to look into that and, see what's your brand, what you like. Definitely bring it with you if you can. Relationships and friendships. to me, that was so important that I I guess what's the word? I continued to have my friendships and relationships even when I left, and before I came back, because you just never know when you're going to need some help or someone to hang out with or to talk to, or if anything happens. So I could say on two hands, I have about 10 people, 10 to 15 people that I know here, that I could call and say, I need help. Even if I needed a place to stay, to be honest with you. So yeah, that's a big thing. So if you don't already know someone here, if you have time to try and get to know someone as a friend, or if you have a friend that has family here, I would definitely suggest to do that, because sometimes you can find yourself in a dangerous position, and you just want to feel safe. And your family would probably feel better about you going there, knowing that you have people there that genuinely care about you. For natural hair girls, a lot of times we go out of country or on vacation or whatever, we do the braids, we do passion twists, we do wigs, we do protective styles. That is the very best thing to do. I got some of my hair products taken from me at the TSA because I goofed up and switched them around because I was thinking about the weight of the bag. And so they took all of that. And I was like, oh, this is terrible. How could I have done this? I know better. So really, really think about what you want to do with your hair. Like right now, I took my braids out and I had to use a gel here. And that's all I had was just the gel. I did have some jam as well, some jam gel on the side, but outside of that, just all of this. I got to figure something out though. But I mean, this hairstyle is fine, but I would like to have my hair down as well. So yeah, definitely try to plan for that. The internet. If you are here working remotely, it is imperative that wherever you're staying has an internet connection, and that it comes as a part of as the plan or the rent. On side of that, I would also suggest getting a wireless box for in the event that something happens and it's not working for whatever reason. A buddy of mine, his name is John, Coach John, from the Dominican route. On his channel, he talked about a box that he got. I think it's called Wind. I hope that that's correct, but I'm not too sure. Papi, mira, ¿tú no crees? ¿Tú crees que es hombre o mujer? Yo te dije. So anyway, sorry about that. So I think that it's smart to have that as like something to fall back on. Yeah. So also, when you want to think about your phone company, it's wise to unlock your phone before you get here so that you can get a Claro SIM chip, or ¿cómo se llama la otra compañía? Claro y thank you, Altice. In English, I guess it would be pronounced Altice. One of the two. You're gonna want to do that, because my first trip, or I think it was my second trip, because I was here for so long. I got home and my phone bill was like $400 and something. So I will never do that again. This trip, I'm only using Wi-Fi calling. I would suggest that you do that. Definitely let your phone company know that you're coming here, so that you get the roaming, international, all of that stuff packed in for if you actually do have to use that. Outside of that, there's what was I going to say? Wi-Fi calling. I think that's one of the best things to do. But again, to also have your phone unlocked. If you have a phone that allows you to do dual SIMs, I think both of my phones allow for that. I have an iPhone and I have an Android. Next, Oh my gosh. So, the grocery store. Don't be afraid to ask questions because you can really get tripped up. I went to the deli and I totally asked for the wrong amount of meat. It was like a pound, and it was ended up being like 1,600 pesos, I think, something like that. So let's see, 2,000 pesos are, let's see, 20, about $40. So I was like, oh my God, no, that's not what I wanted. So be careful about that and ask about that. Now, also, swimming pools. The swimming pools here are different. A lot of times they don't have it doesn't show like the feet. So just be careful of that. You may want to ask somebody, how deep is that, if you're not a person who swims. Funny story, I swim. I love to swim. I'm a little mermaid. We went to a place in Boca Chica. I was walking with a big, like one of those big old duck floats with my stepson on it, and I was pushing it out and about to go with him. All of a sudden I trip and I fall, and I'm under the water, and I'm like, oh my God. And all I'm thinking is I need to, get to him and make sure that he's not looking for me and falls into the water. Of course, I would have been able to grab him. He was only 4 at the time, so it wouldn't have been hard for me to grab him and swim him over to safety. But yeah, just be very careful about that. If you can't swim, definitely make sure you have a life vest, or just stay in the shallow part. Gates. Oh my God. This is so important. Some of the places, if you're staying here long term, more than likely you're going to have a gate, and it's a gate that locks you completely in with an actual lock and a chain, not a chain, but a lock and a key. You need to make sure that you know where that key is at all times, because if a fire breaks out or if anything happens, you need to be able to get to that and open it up and get out of there. There have been stories about children who have burned alive, or who were burned alive because they couldn't get out because their mom left for work and wanted to lock them in and keep them safe. And although her idea, her intentions were good, she forgot about the fact that, well, if something were to happen, they can't get out. And most of the places here use gas stoves. I had never used a gas stove until last year when I came here. I don't like the idea of gas stoves because of gas leaks. I just feel like they're dangerous. The only thing that I do like about them is like the food cooks way faster, and you can kind of gauge it. It took some time to get used to that though. But yeah, there are these gates on everything. So it's not just the front door. The gates are also on the windows. Like right behind me, if I open this up, there are gates there so that other people can't get in. And it's unfortunate because if a fire broke out and I needed to get out of that, I wouldn't be able to. Nor could I get out of the window that's in the bathroom. For those of you who have anxiety, let me tell you, that this has my anxiety, or had it, through the roof. But every night I make sure that I know where the goddamn key is before I lay down to go to bed. And if that's something that's too difficult for, like I said, maybe someone who has anxiety for you to deal with, you're going to want to make sure that you stay at a place that doesn't have that. But maybe at a place that has security at the front, and that, guards everything and keeps you safe. If you're planning on being here for at least 3 months, you're gonna have to get yourself an umbrella. I never even thought about that. And I still need to get an umbrella. Like, literally, this is coming from a person who is telling you what I know and what I'm going through right now with the umbrella thing. Let's see. So the umbrella, and also hats. Get you a big sun hat because it is so god dang hot sometimes. And depending on what part of the world you're from or what city or state that you live in the U.S., it can be unbearable. It's so funny because like I'll be somewhere and everyone is like just like, oh, que calor. Meanwhile, I'm like sweating, like dripping in sweat. And I'm looking at them like, how are none of you guys dripping in sweat? And a lot of times I'm like the skinniest person there. But what I realize is that my body is not used to this kind of heat. And so for melanated people, you're definitely going to want to bring something with you that some type of a skin cleanser, scrub to keep your skin looking clear and not dirty. I don't really know how to express that, but when you sweat a lot, it turns into dirt. So yeah, I find myself using like exfoliants. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. I find myself using a lot of that and making sure that I have it with me. And if I don't have it with me, I make my own with, what is it called? Brown sugar and things like that. So I think, let's see, where are we? Lux. Oh, yes. This is really important. So I think I mentioned earlier with Airbnb, you can pay, partially. You can pay the first month, and then as the second month comes, you pay the other part of that. With booking, you don't have to pay until you get here for a lot of those. Some of them may take partial payment, but then you pay the rest when you get here. With Facebook Marketplace, that's not the case. They want all their cash and they want it up front. They want that first month deposit and the garantía, as I mentioned. So it's a lot to consider. And, you're always running the risk of, no matter what of any of these apps that you use, you're running the risk of someone not being the actual owner of who you're renting from. And there have been instances where the real owner has shown up and hurt people, or just kick them out. So, I mean, you really don't have a way of knowing. I mean, the only thing I can think to say is maybe ask for their paperwork. But even then, it's 2023. We can fake any and all types of paperwork. Yeah. But I will say this, though, with Booking and Airbnb, they are nationally recognized companies, and I do feel like they would take care of you if something were to happen, and that of course obviously that you lived through to talk about. So that's that. Let's see, what is my last one? Oh my gosh. Okay, yes, a fan. Even if the place that you're staying in has a ceiling fan, if you have the money to afford to get like a fan that sits on the floor, you want to think about getting that too. If you're a person who likes to sit outside and really enjoy the naturaleza, the outdoors, you're gonna want to get that. Oh, and you're honestly gonna want to think about the location that you're going to stay in. Does it have a patio, balcony? I think they call it balcón. Those are questions that you're going to need to ask them. Because I'm telling you, no disrespect to the gentleman where where we're staying now, but there have been a few things that I'm just disappointed about. That I'm like, okay, when I looked at the pictures, when I heard, it just looked a little bit different. He has been very attentive and very helpful and he's been great, to be honest. I mean, he hasn't been mean or anything like that. It's just me being an American, I guess. There are just things that I'm just like, oh my God, I don't like this. for $500. Like, what? This is crazy to me. And also, I have to just accept it because I made the choice to come here and I made the choice to stay here. So, and either way, any way you look at it, many people have said it's a difference between coming here on vacation and coming here to live here. I'm here now for 3 months. Next year, I'll be here until the paperwork gets approved for my fiance to come back to the U.S. with me. So we are taking it a lot more serious for where we're going to stay for that allotted amount of time. I'll do another video about that and the place that we decide to go to and stay. But I will tell you, lastly, for some of these resorts and apartments, they will not allow you to have children there. And that's so frustrating because he has a son and we like for him to spend time with us. So, because they have a whole, an advisory explaining about, sex trafficking with children and things like that. And that's the reason why they are saying that they won't allow that. But there are a lot of places that do allow children because they would be really cutting themselves off from a lot of people that would be willing to spend that money. So, this is the end of my video. I have had a lot of challenging moments being here. I've had some moments, especially during the hurricane, that I was like, why am I here? And my mom was like, what did she say? You didn't look and know that you were there during hurricane season? And I'm like, no, Mom, I didn't. Shout out to Erla. Shout out, Erla Dorset. It's me, your daughter, Tia. Good to see you. Hey, girl. I love to try to embarrass her. But yeah, so I think that's it. And lastly, if you don't have a good understanding of the language, honestly, I think that is really very, very important that you do that, especially if you're going to be here for an allotted amount of time. If you're not willing to dedicate time to learn, then definitely get yourself one of these, it's too far away, but one of the translators, not just your cell phone, because you may not have service to have it to translate for you. But yeah, please leave any questions, concerns, comments in the comment section, because I want to help you guys as much as I can, because I'm telling you what, I thought that I knew because I had been here for 25 days once before, that, oh yeah, I got this down packed. Nope. Still have a lot to learn. And I know that I have learned enough to at least try to help you guys with things that you need to know before you come here. And of course, it's different if you're coming here single, or not necessarily single, but alone, or if you're coming here with a baby, or you're coming with children, or you're coming with kids that are teenagers. I mean, there's so many different ways to take that. But thank you for watching today. I appreciate your time, and I'm going to put some bloopers up because I messed this up a couple of times. Have a great rest of your day. Bye, guys.